Today is one of those episodes where I sit down with someone who's really close to me and happen to record a conversation just because I do believe that the things that we talk about derive a lot of value. And I want to provide a disclaimer because in today's episode, we are talking about sexual abuse and we are talking about drug abuse and we are talking about destructive thoughts and consideration of committing suicide and people who have actually committed suicide. So, to someone who will find today's episode more challenging, then be aware that that is what we are talking about today. I do, however, believe that anyone who finds themselves in the pit will find value from today's episodes, although it is incredibly triggering. Nonetheless, we're here with you, we're here for you, and my desire is for us to share our experiences and talk about our inner thoughts so that we can be helpful to each other, because you might find that you're not so alone as you might think. Welcome to Becoming Secure with Mike's Mindset. You and I have known each other for a very long time. I've known you since you were 7 years old. Mm-hmm. Your mom and I used to be colleagues and have remained a friendship for the last 10 plus years.
Yeah, 10 plus years.
Yeah. And during that relationship with your mom, I got to know you really well. And I have been such a close observer of everything that happened in your life. I was there when you shared some of your deepest trauma for the first time ever. I have been present for conversations you've had for the first time a lot.
Yeah.
Which, first and foremost, I'm just very privileged and grateful for your trust.
Yes, of course.
But, okay, so to introduce you more properly to my listeners, your name is Jorid.
Yes.
Yes, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. I appreciate the perspective of someone who's Gen Z. You're so much younger than me, so we kind of exist in different generations. But I must say that as an observer of your life, I have simultaneously noticed so many universal things. The emotional space.
Yes.
Where everything we are experiencing when it comes to love, when it comes to friendship, when it comes to family dynamics, all of what you have been exposed to and experienced, I've recognized myself so much. All of that to say is that it doesn't really matter what generation you grew up in. We are all operating on the same emotional space, more or less.
Yeah.
But there is something so intriguing with your generation nonetheless, because my generation was likely the last one to grow up without a social media account that was present throughout your entire life, essentially.
Yeah.
Do you, in your own words, want to talk a little bit about, like, how did you experience the earliest times growing up? How was your family dynamic? How was it being the youngest out of 5 and the only girl?
Okay, first of all, it's always been tough growing up with brothers. You kind of learn the hard way. I'm also raised like the 5th brother, so I've always been like a little brother in some ways. But being the only girl, I also have more emotional sides. My brothers not necessarily understood when I grew up. I don't really remember a lot of my childhood. Mostly I remember the hard times and the times that my mother had to stand up for me and be there for me. But I also have a lot of good memories going around with my brothers in the summer when we went to our cabin.
Oh, yeah.
Running in the woods and just playing with my brothers. That's some of the good memories that I remember. But my dad always he's always been kind of unstable. So I grew up with a lot of screaming from my dad and punching the table and walls and stuff. A lot of loud noises.
Aggression.
Yeah, aggression. Which also later gave me PTSD, which I still struggle with. Loud noises, people screaming, just handling my emotional state in a very stressful moment. So it's been hard just being around my dad later in life and learning to kind of not be as mad and just live with him in general. But my mom has always been the savior
Yeah.
She's always been emotionally available, always been the comfort that I can go to, and I still do. Even though I'm 18, I still lay on my mom's lap. And sometimes I also go into her bed at night if I can't sleep and stuff while she's sleeping. It's just, we just have that close relationship. So the family dynamic has always been kind of unstable. It's almost like my dad is ripping one side while my mom is trying to hold back, you know?
Yeah, she was always trying to hold it all together. I mean, I was also there in the times when your parents divorced, and we spent a lot of time together, you and I and your mom, during that time, because we like to go to the chapel and pray and talk about all of the big questions, especially in a situation like that. We kind of find a lot of solace in prayer and together.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that closeness that we all had, but I do know how low your mom was, because she had fought for the whole family for so many years, trying to hold it all together.
Yeah.
Because she really wanted the marriage, she wanted it the Christian way.
Yeah.
But she didn't get that. And I do believe too, without labeling too strongly, and also then just labeling really strongly, I think if your dad took any tests, he would be diagnosed with a narcissistic disorder. And I don't like throwing that word around, because everyone's a narcissist today apparently, but he's a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no doubt. And my mom has been the support that all of the kids needed. But since
she was the love. She was the love.
she was the love.
Yeah.
And since my dad was probably the biggest narcissist I've ever met, she's also had to pick a lot of fights with my brothers, because they were so manipulated. They were just so on his side all the time. So she was fighting a lot of battles at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was always like standing beside her like her little soldier.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it together. And I've always been the girl that never does what I'm told.
Yeah.
I always do what I feel is right.
Yeah.
So I picked a lot of fights with my dad's side of the family as well, because I was so strong in what I meant, and I was never scared to stand up for my mom, which made me segregated from my own family, from my own siblings. I was on the outside, the black sheep of the family, because I never agreed with my dad's side.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, you had good reason. You had really good reason.
Of course,
I mean, I think, of course, the more the year goes by and the more you look back at that time with more of a mature look, I suppose, you also recognize that something very significant happened to you when you were a kid on that side of the family. And you can decide for yourself how much you want to go into detail about this all, of course.
Yeah.
But I do know I have your permission to go, like,
you can
talk about it. Yeah. So obviously something happened to you when you were a child that came to your consciousness as an adult. The more we all talked about like sexuality and the topic of sex kind of coming up more, and then sharing stories and recognizing that there's a huge gap between the normalcy and what you had experienced.
Yeah.
And when you then did choose to share this with your family for the first time ever, do the courageous thing where you're seeking out help and you're reaching out to your family for solace, what ended up happening is that nobody believed you.
Yeah. If we're going back to the beginning, what actually happened in my childhood was that my dad's stepdad, not his biological father, sexually molested me throughout my whole childhood. I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember the ones that really made me realize how wrong it was. And it took me a lot of years to actually understand, because when you're a kid and you go through stuff like that from early childhood, it's engraved in your brain. It's kind of like, that's what's normal, you know?
And it's someone you trust and someone you love and someone you observe your whole family trusting and loving. So you're not to believe in that situation that something bad is happening to you.
And also not having the words to explain what is happening, because I was so young. I didn't know what all of those sexual things were. I just knew that it felt wrong, but at the same time my body couldn't
describe it.
I just couldn't tell anyone about it because I didn't have the words for it. So I was 13 and I told my mom and her friend about the things I've been through in August that year. So It was a couple of weeks before starting school again. And I remember when I told my mom, we were talking about a topic that was related to this. They were telling me about a story about a woman that they knew, and that she had went through the same things with her dad and her grandpa and her uncles. And I remember I sort of told my mom, like, oh, do you remember when I tried to tell you about my granddad and what he did to me? And I was carefully launching it,
Yeah.
just seeing if she knew what I talked about. Because I remember I had tried to tell her about it when I was like 10, but again, I didn't have the right words. And the look on her face when I told her the whole thing and just told her, yeah, he used to actually be in my pants, he actually molested me. And I remember that face. It's still striking me to the core because I could just see her whole face go completely white.
Yeah.
And she just fell to the ground. She just got up from her chair, ran like 4 meters, and she just fell straight to the ground and just passed out. And I was like, what the hell? I didn't understand the reaction she had because to me it didn't seem that bad.
No,
Because,
I mean, she trusted him.
Yeah.
She had been in that family for
And she
most of her
knew
life.
something was wrong with him all along.
Yeah.
Because my grandma owns a hair salon, and he used to go around to her younger staff and touch their ass and tits and stuff. And what she did when she was told about this is that she sent him home to Britain for like 3 months or something. She sent him back.
Yeah.
And told him to take a break and don't come back before she was okay with it. And that's what she did to him.
Yeah.
And when I told about my story, everyone told me that it was some way to take revenge on that side of the family because I was so mad at them. So they didn't believe me.
Yeah, I remember that. It was devastating because because I knew that this wasn't some sort of like scheme to get back at your family. You're not malicious, and you're also not you're not trying to be vengeful.
And I was a child.
And you were a child? Yeah, you were a child. And I think that they were trying to make this narrative where your mom was going against your dad, but I think what your dad has always failed to notice is that she's been holding on for dear life for how long? And yeah, it really was not easy to be a bystander in watching then one by one all of your brothers to someone who was in my generation, someone who were supposed to know better at this point, someone who were supposed to have gotten this education that no means no, and also recognizing the emotional toll that it is on a woman, but they just did not see it. They didn't want it to be true. They completely neglected it. And it was something crazy to be a bystander on, especially because I had also met your brothers and spent a lot of time with them and knowing kind of, well, not a lot, but some time with them. And I really had a different understanding of who they were. And yeah, it was really disappointing to see how they just went against you one by one, not wanting to take that story as truth.
And I also think that's something that has given me a lot of consequences later in life, because for the past 2 years I've been debating on whether I should go to therapy or not. The problem is, as a result of not being believed by the people that I needed the most when times were really hard, I just can't believe that it's really that bad,
Yeah.
It just makes it worse.
Right.
Yeah.
What I do find interesting about that though is that I don't know why immediately I just want to go like, I don't know that that's what you need. I think it would be helpful in the sense that like it wouldn't hurt to go to a professional and talk about the things that you've experienced and talk around it. But then again, I also know that you have walked this path of your own where you have sought out answers. I know that you've been religious. I know that you are religious, I should rather say. I know that you do believe in God, and even if there's times when you walk away from that or not really implement it too much into your everyday life
Yeah.
necessarily, I still know that
Yeah.
this is something that is a huge part of you, and I'm happy that it's at your core. And what I mean by that is that you also have had, simultaneously as things have been tough at home and you've had to deal with a lot of opposition in the home,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these kind of simultaneous battles that were going on, you were also in school struggling to find friends and
Yeah.
struggling to find your place there.
Yeah.
That has also not been easy for you. But I want to talk more about into how, because you earlier today we talked about this and you mentioned how you were so aware while it was happening that
Mm-hmm.
you were rebelling against your family. You knew what you were doing, but you walked the steps
Yeah.
anyways. And as much as it brought you to your absolute rock bottom, which I would love to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
you also said that it was the best, worst time of your life.
Yeah.
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 Can you talk about how that kind of snowballed into drug abuse?
Okay. So basically, it all started when I was transferring from elementary to middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And as I already talked about, the whole coming out and telling my story happened 2-3 weeks before I started middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a really rough start with a lot of emotion, a lot of things just going through my head all the time. I didn't have time to actually think about school when I started.
Yeah.
And I was also very unfortunate with the school I went to because, first of all, they didn't have a lot of experience with this stuff. And second of all, they were horrible people. They didn't care about my well-being, my mental health, or what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they just gave a flying fuck about getting me help. So I had a rough start and fell out of school from the first month.
Mm-hmm.
So I was off to a really bad start. And then I, of course, found friends that felt the same. And we started hanging. And, through this period of time, I had a really hard time with my dad because him and my mom decided to go through with the divorce. And I was already really mad at my dad and his family from things that had happened earlier, like 3 years prior to that. So I was mad.
Yeah,
I was
you're
in
mad.
a lot of opposition, as well as I didn't feel seen or heard by any of my family or friends, or except for my mom, of course. So I just fell down into bad habits. But I found a lot of good friends, as well as they were also really bad influences.
Mm-hmm.
But they made me feel seen and understood. So throughout the next 3 years, I would just hang around with bad people and do a lot of shit because
you didn't give a fuck.
I didn't give a fuck. And I didn't want to go home to my family as well because my dad was always just screaming, or he was really mad. I also cut contact with him for like 6 months because he literally threw me out the house. So I just lived with my mom, and I was just so mad. I was just so mad all the time. And I started smoking and drinking, experiencing with that stuff. And when I started drinking and stuff, I always felt like, oh, this is such a relief. I'm just having fun, doing my own thing. And it was kind of like a numbing for me. And it was like that for my friends as well. So we kind of found comfort in that. And, when you get in a bad environment, you meet just more and more people who are just as fucked up as you, and have the same ideas about just being in total opposition and just really mad and hurt children. And we met a lot of older guys around town, and they started offering stronger drugs. We were looking for something new, something exciting. We had been smoking for like 1.5 years, so we were kind of tired. We were like, oh, we need something with a little more kick.
Yeah.
And then one of my good friends at that time, she got into this flirtatious relationship with an older guy. And at this time, we were 14, 15. And these men were like 5, 6, 7 years older than us. So it was really bad. And they started giving us cheap drugs like ecstasy and stuff. And we started trying out this stuff, and it was like a whole new world.
Yeah.
All of the things that felt really bad, all of the horrible things I had been through just went away. And I also kind of like, through that period where I was on really hard drugs, I used to take a lot of ecstasy and Molly and the other feel good drugs. And I could sit and have a talk either with myself or with a good friend about life, and it just didn't affect me the same way. I could really dive deep into myself, parts of myself that I'd almost never opened.
Completely neglected.
Yeah, completely neglected to myself and also to the people around me. And suddenly I could talk about all that stuff without being affected at all. And it was so weird, but it was so good at the same time. And just not caring, just giving the same treatment to the people around me that I had felt that they gave me. The only person I still had a good relationship to was my mom. She was the only one that I still cared about, I still respected, even though I was out doing a lot of fucked up shit for a 15-year-old. I was always home to my curfew. I always followed my mom's rules, almost. And I always respected her. I always had her in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But I was so mad at my dad at the time that nothing else was important but myself. And the reason this was the best but the worst period of my life was because the things I have to work through, but I feel bad for what I put my mom through and for what I put the people around me through, because seeing someone you love going through a drug problem is really hard. And it affects you, and being in a constantly drugged place makes you do so much shit that you don't remember or that you don't want to stand for. So having to work through all the
guilt
is the worst part.
Yeah.
But at the same time, knowing how hard it was for me to stay alive, I know that the drugs saved me. Because it gave me time to just keep my head over water. Basically, just breathe. You know? And also, I went on so many spiritual travels through that time. And that's why I wanted to come back to the thing that you said, that it's not necessarily necessary to go into like deep into your trauma and stuff. Because I've already been on my own travel with it. I've done what I can. And I think that was the period that helped me the most to like actually break down the trauma from my granddad and that side of the family. So the only thing I was left with was the problem I had with my dad. So there was a lot of off my shoulder.
You were able to reflect on it in this state. And I don't want to make a suggestion or an assumption that, try drugs because you might have a spiritual journey. Absolutely not.
Never.
Because, I mean, although you, like, as much as you went through this, you were conscious about what you were doing. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't have gone wrong. And you're so aware of that.
I was on the edge every day. I was living on the edge. I would never, ever recommend doing drugs. But it saved me. Not because that's what you should do to be saved, but that's what just saved me in that part of my life, because I was so deep down. It was either take my own life or stay high on drugs. And then I came to a point like one thing I always knew through this part of my life was that I had God in my back. That's a thought that I had with me all the time, especially while doing the drugs. I kind of felt like I could never die. I was I was undeadly.
Immoral.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I always thought if I survive this, it's God.
Yeah.
And I remember at sometimes I used to pray for myself because I didn't want to be addicted to the drugs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was something I felt that I needed. And I remember I used to pray almost every time before I took a drug.
Yeah.
Pray that please let this be a safe travel and please have my back.
Right.
Don't let me die from this because I want to stay alive.
You wanted to
And
live.
at that point, I just had all trust in God and the fact that He would always watch over me. And I can see that reflect in a lot of the things I went through in that period of time. I was living a dangerous life for a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
By doing drugs, by hanging around older guys, all the places I used to go to. So I was always living on the edge. But I always had this feeling that I knew I had God with me all the time. So I was safe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's such a it's very interesting to hear you talk about it, of course, because I believe in God myself, and I definitely believe that God is the grace that brings me from day one to day two, and I really want to emphasize that it is something so profound happening in someone's life when you feel completely neglected by the people that you love the most, the people that you need the most in your life to build you up and be there and love you for exactly who you are, especially when things are the hardest. We talked about this earlier too. It is the most important for a parent to love you the most when it's hardest to love you. And that's what your mom did with so much grace. And
yeah. I remember I used to be so mad, and I used to have these outbursts. It was always with my mom because she was the only one that dared to ask the hard questions. And they always stuck so deep. And she was the only one that understood. And I used to push her, hit her. I was violent sometimes because I was so mad. And my brain was also so foggy because of all the drug use. And I used to be so mad, and that's always something I'm really guilty for because I know how much that hurt my mom, but I also know that's something she gave up so easily. She was just like, it didn't matter at that time how mad I was. She would hold me if she could, you know? And that's something I'm really thankful for because I used to have a lot of outbursts on my dad as well, but he kind of stood in my face and mocked me for it. But my mom just held me until I calmed down. Even though I was really violent and much stronger than her. And I could see the fear in her eyes sometimes because I was so mad and I lost control. It was almost like a blackout, and she used to explain this to me. The look she could see on my face when that kind of clicked and I had my outbursts, she could see it in my eyes. And that's something I know that always scared her because I could see it and I remember that face, and that will always be with me. That's why I have so much respect for my mom.
No, I mean, she's been a rock in your life for sure, and it's been pretty remarkable to observe. And obviously you are no longer a drug abuser, and you are someone who did manage to, will I say, hit rock bottom, just to kind of find your way out of it, and with God's grace.
He saved me. The situation that led me to getting clean was the scariest situation of my life. I was drugged by a guy my dad's age and basically abducted and had to escape from this man. And I was so scared, but I felt God's grace that night. And I can still feel it when I talk about it, and I go back and think about the memories I have from that night. I had God with me. And I remember talking to him while escaping. I was running for my life. And I probably ran for 3 kilometers really fast. And I remember talking to myself or like to God. I was just praying loudly, just please help me get away from this. It was like a demon following me. But I could feel God's grace. It was like being covered in God's love.
This has been years ago. I mean, you're 18 now, and you have reflected a lot, been spending a lot of time apart from everything too. You ended up, instead of going to college, you went to what we call in Norway folkehøyskole,
Yeah.
which is essentially a camp.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of a college, but you don't get grades, so
Yeah.
you don't get an education from it.
Right. You don't get like a degree. It's more like
Yeah.
an experience. And what I love about that is that it allows you to move away from your hometown, which gains perspective. You put it so beautifully earlier tonight when you said to me that I can't believe that I thought that the friends that I had experienced and the school that I was going to and the people that I'd ever been exposed to in my hometown was everything that was out there.
Mm-hmm.
There was no more. There was no more people. But then you move to a different side of the same country and just see that there's so much more people. There's so much more perspective.
I felt so restricted when
Yeah.
I was living here.
Yeah.
But I forgot that there's a lot to experience and the world is huge.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There's something you said earlier that I was like, we have to talk about this in my podcast, because I thought it was so profound. You and me both have been in situations where we've just found ourselves in such a pit, not really understanding how the heck we're going to get out of this emotional turmoil, and really just feeling numb to the point where is it even worth it anymore?
Yeah.
We've both been there. And you have witnessed 3 people die, people that not all necessarily close to you, but people like in a close enough proximity, all are in and around 20 years old, which is so young. And we were talking about how we once found ourselves in that pit, and we can empathize with that. But what I thought was really profound was when you were explaining how each of these people died.
Yeah.
And how these people could have for a split second changed the narrative, and they would have lived to see
a whole
life has only just begun.
Yeah, it's so crazy seeing it from that perspective, because this time last year I had only seen my own perspective, which was the pit, the black pit. I hadn't lost anyone, no family members or no one that was close enough for me to actually be really touched by it.
Yeah, affected by it.
So this time last year, last December, he's not really a close friend, but we know each other. He, unfortunately, very sadly, he took his own life. And I remember just completely breaking down at that moment. It was almost like I could feel the pain, you know? And when you actually take that choice, that you actually do it, it's a really big choice. And you have to be really deep down to actually do it.
Yeah, you black out.
Yeah, and I remember the feeling that gave me, and the weeks after that, I was crushed because he was a really nice and loving boy, and just seeing everyone so crushed, it was just, it's the worst thing I've experienced in my life, hands down. Seeing the sorrow that caused, and how much love that came out of that sadness. Also, it was just heart crushing.
Yeah.
And hearing his mom talking, and his dad and his friends, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And that really affected me for a long time. Yeah. Even though I didn't know this guy as well, it still affected me really badly. Because I was just thinking about that could have been me for a couple of years ago, you know?
And then you told me about your other friend that was in your class.
Yeah.
She had what did you say? She had a brain tumor?
Yeah, she had a brain tumor, which was terminal. So when she got the diagnosis, we already knew she was going to die. Yeah. There was nothing to do about it. It was a really aggressive type of cancer, and the tumor was already too big to be removed. She was slowly dying day for day, and she fought from the beginning to end. And I remember how she was always so positive. She never felt bad for herself. She always told people, like, it's okay, I'm fighting till the end, but don't worry about me, I'm okay, I'm living my best life anyway. Yeah. She was always so positive. She was such an inspiration. And I followed her through 2 months of school. And the only reason she was still going to school was to kind of live a halfly normal life before she died. That was the only thing she wished for. And it was so weird following her around, helping her with all the basic stuff that we do on impulse.
Yeah.
It was just such a deep perspective.
Yeah.
And just also, I felt so honored that I was the person she trusted enough to actually give me that role of staying with her.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me a lot,
Yeah.
and it gave me a really beautiful perspective on life. And also, she was really inspirational. And I followed her throughout those months, but she suddenly got too sick to come to school. And my class made a gift for her. And I was supposed to come with my teacher to deliver this gift because I was the only one she was really close with. And the day I woke up to go to the hospital and give her this, I felt sick. I had a stuffy nose and I was showing no signs really of being sick, but with cancer, since it's so aggressive and they're really weak when they're this sick, I couldn't go. And that would have been the last time I was able to see her. So it always breaks my heart knowing that that would have been the last time I could see her.
Yeah.
But I couldn't go because of the risks.
Yeah.
And she died, I think it was 2 months after that, because after that was the last couple of days she was really conscious.
Yeah.
So the next 2 months she was just really sick and laying in the hospital bed.
Yeah. I think it was so profound what you explained earlier when you said that you had observed these two different people who experienced and like exiting life in two completely different ways, because one is fighting for their lives and have no choice but
to die,
yeah, to exist
and the
until
other
you
one
don't, and
has everything,
yeah,
but doesn't want to live that life. It may be crazy to say, but what if they had switched positions, you know? She was so willing to live. She loved life too much.
She respected life.
Yeah, and it was just crazy.
And it was
because
taken away from her in ways she could, yeah, never imagine.
She didn't have a choice, and she fought a painful death for a long time. And the only reason she lived that long was because she wanted so badly to stay that she had treatments to just live longer. And it's just a really weird perspective. And the one who took his own life, that was heartbreaking as well, because that was the first time I also saw a dead person. And it's not really normal in Norway to have open caskets for people to stop by and see. It's usually for close family.
Yeah.
And we were able to go there and sit in sorrow together.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I saw a dead person. And that will always stick with me.
Yeah.
All the perspectives and just seeing something that used to be a whole human, just in a shell, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so weird.
I remember when I had a third cousin. We didn't spend like life closely together. We only saw each other at like, quite sadly, funerals. Because our family just wasn't that close, but they were my age, two girls, so I would love hanging out with them. I always thought they were so fun and so cool, and all the times we did spend together was really great, and we followed each other on Instagram, so I could always observe their life from like afar. And one day, I can't remember exactly right now, and that's a shame, she was either 14 or 16 years old, and my parents called me to tell me that she had committed suicide.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what? In my head, I just really could not wrap my head around why. I was like,
it's
but
crazy
why? Like,
because it happened so fast.
yeah, and also her family is lovely. There was
Yeah.
no drug abuse.
Signs,
There was no there was nothing. Like, from my point of view, of course, like I didn't know them that closely, but it was devastating. And we came to the funeral, of course, and kind of like later found out that it was related to heartbreak.
Oh.
And it's just like, having gone through many breakups,
Yeah.
I've always thought about her.
Yeah.
In all the moments when things were the absolute most devastating, when it hurt the most, when I was heartbroken, and I could completely empathize with that moment, when you just you really you're hurting so much, and you really just don't know how to get from the next like from this moment to the next one. Like, I know that feeling, and that is terrible. I have most certainly thought those thoughts.
Yeah.
And every time I had this image of her mom hanging over the podium at the funeral, giving her speech about her daughter and how this tragic thing happened where she's no longer with us. And I just remember holding my mom's hand and just kind of squeezing it, because I just had to let her know that I hear what she's saying. I see her pain. I know you know that I struggle. I'm never going to do this to you.
Yeah, and what you're telling right now, I can relate to that so much, because when I went to his funeral and I heard his mom talk, and from my point of view, I had the same observations as you. He had an amazing family. He had good odds, you know, to have a good life. And I think most of the problems rooted in friends and love life, and just hearing his mom talking, just not knowing what happened. She had all these questions and no answers to why her son wanted to end his life. She didn't know anything. She had no answers. She was just heartbroken. And it was just so devastating. As we talked about, I also think about all the times that I've had the same problems that he stood in and that your cousin stood in, and how I've pushed through those. And how many of those situations that I've been through and that I will go through later in life. And just how important it is to build myself strong enough to get through those periods of life, because I've been through worse, you know. I've been through way worse than this. And there's a lot of times with friends and boyfriends that I felt so worthless that nothing really matters. But I still remember that there's so much more to experience in life. And that I shouldn't have such a restricted side on life.
It's not to diminish the people who are in this situation, because of course it's so dark when you're there. But I think it is important to talk about. This is why we have to remove the stigma, because the thing is, what we are all going through and what is getting us to these situations, they are so universal. They are. We need to talk about the fact that whoever listens to this and can either recall a time in their life this was them, or they are in this pit right now. What's important for us to communicate in this situation is that it doesn't matter how hard it is today, because this too shall pass. Either it's going to be okay or it's going to pass. Either way, you'll be fine. There's so much more to the situation you're currently in. There's so much more to the boy.
There's so much more to experience.
There's so much more to the girl. Like, there's so much more life out there, culture out there, places to go to, things to see. If we dare to look at the perspective of how minimal our current situation is, that's where I want to hone in on. There's really nothing so bad right now that there's no hope for tomorrow.
That's so true. I've already been through probably the darkest periods in my life that I probably will go through for a long time. And I'm still here. I'm whole, and I have a lot of good and I have a lot of good experience that have helped myself and a lot of people around me. And I have so much love for this boy, his family, and the people I've lost. 3 days ago, it was his 1-year mark. And standing here 1 year later and looking at all the things that have happened around where he would have been today, I think his life would have been so much better, you know?
Yeah, it would have been so different.
And yeah, the universal problems that we're all going through, we have to push through it, even though it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because there's always a light in the end of the tunnel. And
It always is.
and something I experienced when I decided to impulsively move away.
Yeah.
I moved away from my hometown, 6 hours away, and at that time of my life when I moved, I was not in a deep, dark place, but I was feeling so lost.
Yeah.
I was just looking around me and feeling so trapped in my friends' situations, my family. I was just like, is this how the rest of my life is gonna go? I don't want to live this life if that's how it's going. It's just, it never gets really better. And then I decided to move, and I moved away, and I realized I couldn't just focus on myself, run away from all the complicated situation with my friends and drama, and just be at peace for a second.
Yeah.
And actually just doing it and realizing that's completely okay to do.
Mm-hmm.
I am the boss of my own life,
Mm-hmm.
and I will not let all the trauma and the things that I've been through keep me stuck at one place. So I just ripped myself away from all the bad stuff, from my dad, from my mom, from my siblings, and just left.
Yeah. And you were fine.
Yeah, I was really fine. I was more than fine.
Yeah, and I think what's beautiful too is also what you acknowledge is that when you are apart from it all too, you get things in a perspective, and somehow the relationships that you're moving away from gets better.
Yeah.
At least the real relationships.
Yeah, I really got to see which of my friends were the real ones. And suddenly I didn't really seem to care who left. But I've always also done a lot of work with myself. So I didn't really run away from my problems. I kind of just took a break from the reality I had made here.
Right.
And started a new one, a fresh perspective with new people. And sometimes it doesn't always work out just moving away.
Well, I mean, the way that you can look at it is that wherever you go, there you are. That's one thing, right? But I mean, the other thing about it too is that, like, obviously I have also traveled, and one could argue that I have been running. But I mean, what I experienced, which is more important, is that while I was running, I gained so much more perspective. And that's kind of what you're tapping into.
And also, my problems, the things I struggled with inside myself, suddenly got much more clear when I ran away from all the intrigues that I had around me, all the people, all the expectations that the people around me had to me. I was suddenly feeling so fresh, and the only thing I needed to focus on was the problems that I felt I brought with me, that was within me.
Right.
Everything felt much more easy.
Yeah.
I could just take a deep breath and tell myself, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah. You were relieved by it. And I felt the same way. When I moved to the US, I got this sense of belonging for the first time in my life, because all of a sudden I could just be me, and that was cool. There was no, like, when I just fully surrendered to just like being who I am and be shameless about it, in the sense that I am not embarrassed about showing up as who I am. And that was suddenly praised, and I met all of these great, amazing people that then, as a result, love me for who I am. It just made it easier for me to show up differently in the dynamics that are meaningful, such as with my family. Now, when I am more free to just be who I am there too, there's no love lost here. But of course, I have gained a different perspective, because I see myself differently. And I start to love myself differently, because when I am constantly surrounded by people who remind me of how unlovable I felt, that's really, really hard. I think gaining that perspective, just to, if anything, get closer to yourself and closer to loving yourself. There's something so meaningful about that. So I say, go explore, travel more.
Same.
Like, don't be afraid of meeting other people who are on a similar journey, so you can find relevance in it and have these shared conversations where you heal each other. I think that's beautiful.
Definitely meeting people with the same experiences, or people who's had traumatic experiences from childhood. Just meeting people that understand and see you for who you are and bring out the best parts of you.
No competition.
Even though some of these people you only meet and you stay with them for a while and maybe you never see them again, you know? But it's so meaningful. What I always tell my friends when they're like, if they like someone or we're just talking about love in general, and they're like, yeah, but what if I waste my time on this guy and it doesn't work out? And I always tell them, love is never wasted when it's shared.
Oh, that's pretty.
You know?
That's nice. Love
Yeah.
is never wasted when it's shared.
Yeah.
That's true. Love hard and love a lot, because I'm gonna tell you what my brother told me. Because sometimes I judge myself or believe other people judge me for going in and out of all of these relationships. But the truth is, like, I know what I want. I want love in my life. I know what it does to my psyche when I'm in love. And when I have someone to share my life with, I am codependent in that way. But I also know that I'm fully capable of living my life. I'm not dependent in the sense that it's like my life depends on it. Like, I am living and breathing and I'm happy nonetheless. But I love love. And as much as I've had so many breakups and fucking horrible ones that led me to like almost want to freaking die, like,
Yeah.
I know the risk. I know how painful it gets. I know that whenever I dare to get into these situations where I can get my heart broken again, in order to achieve the greatest thing of all, which is love and being in love and sharing your life with someone.
Yeah. It's never wasted.
What he told me was that you are brave for going into these relationships knowing damn well how much it might hurt, because you love so hard. And that is brave when you know how much it hurts. But I also know how amazing it feels when it's real and when it's good. And that's what all of these relationships have taught me. And I know that more than anything, I want to be a wife and I want to be a mom one day. And therefore, of course, I'm striving to find the relationship that sticks around.
Yeah. For me, especially growing up with, going back to what we started talking about, Gen Z and social media and stuff, I've found it really hard because, especially in Norway, there's no dating culture. You don't date. It's just hookup culture.
And you don't talk to each other. You're only on Snapchat.
Yeah, on Snapchat. It's through social media. And I feel like social media killed romance.
And also just social interactions.
Yeah, and I find it really hard to find boys that I feel compatible with, especially because I've grown up with only brothers. And I've built myself strong in the sense of not taking bullshit.
Yeah, bone in your nose is how they say. You have bone in your nose, like you always stand up for yourself. You stand up for the people around you. You have...
Men are scared of me.
Yeah, you have zero tolerance for bullshit behavior, and you will call it out.
Yeah,
and I admire that about you. But of course, like that's intimidating to boys who doesn't know how to handle that.
Yeah,
and that is also a part of the generational struggles that we're upon right now. Is that women want to stand their ground and be respected, and men
want princess treatment.
Men want princess treatment.
They
That's
do.
funny. That's a funny narrative. I haven't heard that one. I think what I've been exposed to, in the sense that what I recognize is that men just wants to play their part, and I think
but
men wants to be...
I think that's more for your generation. Like for my generation, there's a lot of cheating. It's really normalized, and the boys can't even, like, they don't want to fully be like masculine and just take accountability and stuff. They always want like nurturing. It's kind of like if we're gonna talk about the loneliness epidemic, the men are so lonely, and mental health and all that. It's a big topic in society today, and I think that's really important because I'm only surrounded by men, all my brothers and stuff. So I have a lot of love for that, but at the same time, it's almost like most of the boys I've met that I've talked to about this topic, the loneliness epidemic that men are feeling, it's almost like their only solution to the problem is women. Being nurtured and stuff, but it's not in a respectful way. I've been told like, yeah, but I don't have a girl, like I don't understand how they're supposed to solve their problems and make us as young girls take accountability for their loneliness,
Right. Well, I think what I'm afraid of with a generation who doesn't do a whole lot of social interaction when it comes to in-person stuff. Like a lot of it is happening online. I remember growing up, I had to like ring the doorbell to
Yeah,
people if I
same.
wanted to hang out.
Same.
But now everything is planned online. Of course, that is true for myself. I'm not going to go just ring the doorbell now. You always text. But point being, when there's this social aspect of things that are missing and there's all this realities happening online where it's only like a narrative that's being told based on an algorithm, and that is the narrative that is shaping the way that you view the world. Like if you as a woman are looking at your algorithm and it's kind of talking about female empowerment, I'm just saying things as an example at this point. And then you on the other hand have like a group of men having the algorithm of like your fuck, what's that guy's name? Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
Like what did you say? Like Danby Chow or whatever the
Choi.
fuck? Choi? Yeah. How you have these different narratives that are, I guess, trying to speak their own empowerment, but it's bashing on the other side as a problem or a solution to the problem. And therefore, we're not coexisting in harmony anymore.
Yeah.
It's instead of like, hey, we are equal, which was the goal in the first wave of feminism. It's now instead we're against each other and we're all mad and we need each other more than ever. Like that's how I kind of view it, like silly. It's more important that in every aspect and corner of the world we lead with love, is what I'm trying to get at here, is that we need more social interactions and we need to be understanding of each other.
But I also
think
think
each other.
It's really important that the newer generation, like my generation and the generations that are growing up right now,
earlier,
that they take accountability for their own feelings as well.
Yeah.
And not trying to always project their problems on other people. Like the only solutions are within yourself.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take the hard conversations with people who made you the way you are, like your parents, for example.
Yeah.
But you need to take accountability and you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah. It's not
as well.
A means to blame, like this happened to me, therefore I am.
Yeah.
It is more like I recognize that all of these different circumstances shaped who I am and the way that I think and view the world. From now on, I want to build a perspective that is helpful and useful to me. And that is our own responsibility.
Yeah. And I also feel like social media has made a lot of people my age think that everyone else is always the problem. And all of these diagnoses that people are self-diagnosing, seeing from social media, and just, as you said, everyone is narcissist nowadays, you know. Being more critical to what you see online is so important.
Life is especially
for our generation whose life is based on that. And I hear more and more people seeing stuff online and relating and just
rolling with it.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Being critical
because
of the
we can't live in
algorithm
harmony when everyone
is against each other. Yeah. When you don't look inwards, you find no solution.
Yeah.
The thing is, life is happening out here. It's when you go for a walk in the woods and see how the creation of God and how beautiful it is. That's where life is happening. It's when you bump into someone in the streets and you have a conversation face to face and you look them in the eye and you feel their energy. That is what life is about. It doesn't exist in a screen. It's not reality. It's fiction.
Yeah.
And you don't even know that the person on the other side of the screen is talking the truth. You only know that they have a narrative that they have formed and they're talking it out loud, and it's impacting the way that you view the world.
Yeah, and just really hard when they can create this narrative and they can tell you about all these different diagnoses and psychological diagnoses, and they pull one what's it called, symptom, and just everyone can relate to it, and now everyone's narcissist, you know.
Yeah.
It's just,
or everyone has ADHD.
Yeah.
And everyone is autistic. Yeah. I mean, it's there's yeah.
It's just,
it's dangerous. It's dangerous, and
that's
it's not to say, because the thing is, like, oh my gosh, I'm so guilty of scrolling, and I'm so aware of my algorithm and how it is shaping the way that I view and think about things. I think it's more about like, hey, there's just more to life than that screen.
But
I'm not saying don't doom scroll for, like, don't, like, not do it, but life is happening outside. It is not happening inside of that screen.
No, and it's just so clear in Gen Z. It's so clear because we're sucking in everything we see online, and just projecting it, on ourselves and other people, and it's so damaging.
Yeah,
I just think it's really sad.
Yeah, because then you're looking in the screen and you're looking at,
Everyone is avoiding taking accountability for their actions, for their words. In my generation, it's like, oh, you're the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I always say and do the right things, and I just don't agree with you. You're the problem. That's what I experience a lot, especially with friends I've had through my teen years, that they're avoiding
Mm-hmm.
doing a change. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
it's hard living in harmony and just feeling like you can find the right people when social media is dominating everything.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do was just look myself in a mirror and tell myself who I really was.
Yeah.
In those moments when I had to look in a mirror and acknowledge when I hadn't been a good friend.
Yeah.
When I had to look myself in a mirror and recognize that I am too a cheater. When I had to acknowledge that I am a liar.
Yeah.
And that I have
Same.
hurt people that I love.
Yeah, same.
And to have those moments and just acknowledge that I want nothing to do with that person anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That is not who I aspire to be.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest things when
Yeah,
when you have to be
definitely.
truthful about who you actually are.
Yeah, and
And-
you have to take the hard conversations with yourself. You
Yeah.
have to take accountability. Stop avoiding making
Just
a
don't
change in
run.
yourself. You know,
Yeah, sit with it.
being a better person. I feel like I owe my mom,
Yeah.
I owe my closest friends to be the best version of myself.
And you owe it to yourself.
Yeah, and I owe it to myself.
Yeah, you owe it to honor yourself and to
Yeah.
actually like treat yourself like someone who loves themselves. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of how I look at it. I'm trying to treat myself as someone who loves herself.
Yeah, and I have always, something I realized these last couple of months is that I have always been looking for love everywhere. I've been looking for love in boys, I've been looking for love in my dad, I've been looking for love in my friends, and I have went a long way with many people just to get a little bit of love. And suddenly when I moved away, I had to stop and I had to really see myself, and I, for the first time, actually truly realized that I am the love I've been looking for.
Right.
You
Oh,
know?
that's a beautiful way of looking at it. Yeah, it is. It
I
is
give-
within you. It has to start
Yeah.
with you. It has to start with you. If it
And I
doesn't
give everything to the people I love. I do everything. I stand up for them. I would sacrifice everything for the people I love.
Mm-hmm. And now you have to do
No.
the same for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like the moment you're waiting for something else to happen in order for you to feel loved, then you are placing your entire power in the hands of someone else.
Yeah.
It's about agency. You need to have agency to be the one to make the call. That like, nope, I am valuable because love comes from God and God loves me for who I am. Like, nope, I am valuable. I am deserving of what I want, and I am lovable. And all of those cliche affirmations people hate to hear and people want to shove down a freaking drain because it's so cringe or whatever the fuck
And
they
it's
say
so,
it is.
but it's so true.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the-
so
that's
true.
the-
If you don't love yourself first, you're not gonna love your neighbor either.
And my mom always tells me, especially when I've had hard times with friends and building strong relations to people that don't see life the same way as me. She's told me when I say yes to someone else, I say no to myself.
In certain situations.
Yeah, in certain situations. And it's important to sometimes take hard choices and choose yourself.
Right. I think, or maybe the question is, when I say yes to this, am I saying yes or am I saying no to myself? Yeah.
But that's what she directly tells me when I'm in those situations.
Yeah.
When you say yes to them, you say no to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to remember. Sometimes you have to sacrifice, and sometimes you will lose people that you thought you would have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You will lose connections that were meaningful to you, but you made a sacrifice and you did something good for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing in the end, because without yourself you have no one, and you're the boss of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. You have to have agency. And gosh, it's hard. Sometimes it's so hard. But choosing to do that every day nonetheless, like it's important.
Yeah, it does.
Your life depends on it.
It does.
And especially for Gen Z's, just recognize that like it's not your fault that our generation created something that your generation would struggle with, like that it's not your fault. It's and the thing is, it's new for all of us, and we're all still learning why it's happening. We're all still observers of the consequences of social media, but we know more now, and
Yeah.
we do know that the suicide rates have never been higher, and we know it's largely because of usage of social media.
Yeah.
And it's unhealthy. What that is teaching us is that connection, and having human connection, and honest, truthful human connection, that is what your life depends on.
Yeah.
It is those close and meaningful connections that are going to save your life, and it is human interaction. And it's loving yourself, it's loving your neighbor, and it's when you're a girl loving a man, and when you're or a boy, and when you're a boy loving women, understanding each other and living in harmony.
Yeah.
And not going against each other, but trying to come closer to each other. At least that is what I am trying to accomplish, and that is what I want to use my voice for, because I do believe that the world needs so much love in order to exist in harmony.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. Well, as always, I do love conversing with you, because we always have very meaningful conversations, and I feel really honored that you've shared so much vulnerable stuff with me throughout your life, and that you've trusted me with so much of your shame, because I know how painful it is to carry, and I understand that there's a lot of guilt in your path, and that it's taken a hold of you. But I do really want you to know that I do see you, and I do see you trying, and I do see all of the steps that you make in order to be more graceful to yourself, and also to honor and respect your mom. And I think it's also beautiful how much love you still have to give to a lot of your family members, although you are lacking and missing a lot of it in return.
Yeah.
And it is really beautiful to see how much you've had to endure, and how much love you still have to give, even though it's been really, really hard for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I also wanted to say that we've always had good conversations, really reflecting conversations, and they've always, when we first sit down, we sit for
hours
and talk. And I also want to say that they've been really meaningful to me throughout my life as well. And a lot of the things that I have learned and that I've carried with me through my hard periods, and also when I talk to my friends and show up for them and give them advice and stuff, a lot of those advices have come from you. So
thank you.
You've taught me a lot as well. And I also, have you seen the tattoo I have on my back?
Yes, it is the lyrics from Elevation Worship. I love it.
From our favorite song that we used to listen together.
Yes.
Me and you and my mom.
Yeah, when we were listening to worship music so much. There was one summer, especially during the pandemic, we listened to a lot of it.
Yeah. And that's when I really experienced real good, like, Christian music, worship music.
Yeah.
And I carry those good memories with me. Yeah. And the tattoo that I have on my back. Yeah. Which is dedicated to you and my mom.
Oh, it's so sweet. Let's end the episode with the lyrics of that. I know it's the song It Is You.
Yeah.
By Elevation Worship.
Even the worst of my mistakes are miracles in the making.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And it's a beautiful,
I love it. Even the worst of my mistakes are beautiful. Are miracles in the making. And the truth is that in the midst of all of what we're going through, God is always there. Yeah. All you have to do is talk to him. Yeah. Reach out.
That's something you and my mom always reminded me.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. I mean, at the end of the day, these conversations can be very life-saving. And I mean, I'm really happy that you wanted to come on the record to talk about this, because like my whole purpose in life, I imagine at this point, is that I want to create space for all of us who just need someone to relate to. Yeah. And to not feel so alone. I do believe that all of our voices are valuable in one way or another. And I know how much it gives me to be a part of these conversations. And I hope that by opening it up for people to listen to, that it's also helpful for other people.
Yeah, same. Yeah. That's my life goal.
Yeah.
And we could have talked about this for hours, but I feel like we've
covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
And
me
I
too.
love you.
I love you. Oh, that's so sweet. And to anyone who's listening and you are at the pit of your shame or guilt or whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, even the worst of your mistakes
Are miracles in the making.
And as always, stay curious and get to know yourself better. I want to hear your story because I believe that when we share our stories, we get closer to each other and the truth. So if you want to become a guest on my podcast, please email me at maxmindset@gmail.com